go. That's the recording going on. No, that's I think sort of seeing that that gap and that need, and as you say, it's I know that sort of note taking was something I always struggled with. Trying to concentrate on what you're being told. My degree was in maths, so I'm concentrating on the board as well. Trying to sort of follow all of that through, sort of and synthesize, decide what you're actually going to write down. What is the note that's going to make me sort of remember what I was being taught? Or what are the important bits? What am I, is a huge sort of mental process, and I think very underrated in terms of the effort required. I think it is a genuine skill, one that's sorry, in my experience, I was never taught or given the sort of the tools to do. It was just like, here's a notepad, here's some paper, off to your lecture and see how it goes. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I remember that moment in my first law lecture at Edinburgh University. You've got 200 students sitting down, and these are some of the most intelligent people you can meet, and then the lecturer and we're all chatting nicely, and the lecturer starts talking, and it's like everyone suddenly changed. They just suddenly become these hyper-focused, they've got the notepads out, they're writing, they're taking notes, and they're like, the girl beside me, Gail, took 7 pages of notes, and I'm like 2 pages in, and I'm trying to keep up. When I walked out, I said, Gail, how do you know what to write down and what not to write down in your notes? And she said, everything you can, with this manic look. And I was like, oh my God, that's the way you're meant to do things. You just got to write everything down like everyone else in that lecture. I mean, you cannot believe how many pages of notes law students take, like a lot, And I was just overwhelmed. I just didn't know what to do because I couldn't keep up.
Yep. No, it's a big thing, and especially for somebody like me who's got terrible handwriting as well.
Yeah.
And I've never been a fast typist. I don't have the coordination for it, and I've got daft great fingers. But I think an additional tool that sort of supports that critically important method of sort of learning is absolutely crucial. And I think that's what really inspired me when we first met, and your sort of vision around that was solving that problem in a new way that's really helped you to engage with what you were being taught.
Yeah. And it's kind of like we've accidentally created this new category of assistive technology, which is speech to map. We've heard of speech to text and text to speech, but now we've got speech to map technology. And I'm just so pleased we've got speech to map technology in this world now.
There's a lot of conversation in the chat about people's awful handwriting as well, so I share your pain. Was there a light bulb moment when you sort of first sort of thought, oh, that's the way I want to do it? Or was it something that sort of gradually evolved with you?
I think it's one of these confidence things, like you go from, I wonder if someone could do this, like 8 years ago. And then I said, I reckon someone could do this. This could be done. I'm sure someone will do this. And then it's like, maybe I could do this. And you're like, maybe I could do this. I don't know if I could do this. And then it's like, oh, a year later, I could do this. If I found the right people, built the right team, I could maybe do this. Maybe one day I'll do this. It's like, do you know what? A year later, I'm going to do this. And then it's like, we're going to do this now. And then bit by bit, and it's been an evolution of about 10 years to get to this point where we've done it. And it's like, right. And it all comes down to building the right team. Joe's been a major factor in all of that because, I've got dyslexia. I'm a zero gravity thinker, and Joe's a high gravity thinker. And between the two of us, we managed to keep things on track.
I suppose that was going to be my last question before we have a quick look at the product. Did you have to sell the idea to Jo? Was she sort of, yeah?
Oh, yes. I mean, Joe didn't come on board into ivvi until about a year and a half ago, fully.
Yeah.
Up until then, it was kind of like, to be honest, is this another one of Darius's harebrained schemes? I mean, people with dyslexia, ADHD are full of harebrained schemes. You should see the amount of projects I've done in my life. I built all sorts of incredible things. And this one, and then gradually it's like, no, Jo, this is going all the way. And Jo, and I was like, Jo, I really need you to make this work. And Jo, over to you.
Yeah, there are lots of projects in our world and a variety of degrees of being finished. And I think, yeah, I mean, Ivy always caught my attention, and I work as a business consultant and coach. So Darius and I always overlapped around the sort of coaching element and working with people and equipping them on a sort of one-to-one basis. And we always thought that the solution that we would probably bring to market would be around sort of time management or organizational. And then it just became so apparent that the gap was meeting notes and lecture notes. And so that's really what sort of focused the thinking onto Ivy. And then as Ivy gained so more momentum, it just made sense that we sort of collaborated and brought both our strengths together. So, Darius is always going to be the ideas man, and I'm always going to be the finisher, completer, sort of, as the idea actually got over the line. And it's just a good combination. It works for us. So
yeah, sounds like an incredibly healthy pairing. So yeah, I think just from our side, when I'm watching sort of Ryan and Rosie and Matt, and I know sort of like yourselves, sort of the number of times we come back to work and go, I've got an idea. Or oh, I've been thinking. Oh God, here we go. But yeah, no, it's what keeps our lives interesting. So that is awesome. I'm conscious time is for us to take a look at Ivy Notes, Darius. So if you wouldn't mind sort of taking the stage for sort of 20 minutes, that would be awesome.
Great. Okay. So
We'll just turn our cameras off so we're not distracting.
okay. So shall I just look at as we've been talking, you can see that Ivy is working right now. Can you see Ivy just now?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so you've got the audio down the bottom here, recorded for the last 12 minutes. This is the transcript that's been said. And what Ivy's doing is Ivy's not trying to do a really accurate transcript. Ivy's trying to pull out keywords. Like Anthony just said, I don't want to be distracting there. Conscious and mindful. And we talked about Jo projects. We talked about speech to map. We've talked about the academic focus. I can go back to certain points in our conversation. So basically, this is Ivy in action. I'm just going to pop Ivy away just now and show you the Ivy website just to give you the overall view. So this is the assessor's page. If you want to know everything that I've been saying, here's the assessor's page. This is where you get a demo license, which is basically a 3-year license of the standard package of Ivy if you're an assessor or a tutor. And this is a really great little video that just shows you all of the context really quickly in 3 minutes, rather than me rambling on for about, 10 minutes instead. So I'll play this video. Let me just switch on the audio and make sure you can hear the audio properly on Zoom. The audio is a little bit quiet when I share it on Zoom, so you might need to increase the volume, okay? Jo, if you give me a thumbs up if you can hear it when I play it, please. Welcome to Ivy, the revolutionary app that transforms how students capture and interact with lecture content. Ivy combines audio recording, real-time transcription, and mind mapping to create a powerful learning tool. Here's how Ivy works during a lecture. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see the audio recording interface. On the right, watch as Ivy transcribes the lecture in real time. On the left, observe how Ivy automatically generates a mind map from the content. All of this happens simultaneously and automatically as the lecture progresses. Post-lecture navigation. After the lecture, your notes are fully synchronized. Let me show you how seamlessly you can navigate. Play any part of the audio recording by clicking on it. Click on a branch in the mind map to instantly locate that section in the transcript, or select any part of the transcript to see the corresponding branch highlighted in the mind map. Highlighting and customization. Students can use color-coded highlighting to mark important information. Use yellow for critical points to review, mark blue for concepts to memorize, choose green or any other color for personal categorization. You can highlight during the lecture or while reviewing later. Accessibility and learning styles. ivvi is designed to support various learning needs. For students with dyslexia or ADHD, the visual mind map prevents lots of rereading and information overload. Those with dysgraphia can capture key points without typing using just a click. The combination of audio, visual, and written elements caters to most multimodal learners. Quick review feature. ivvi makes reviewing previous lectures a breeze. Press 1 for a high-level visual summary, 2 for a more detailed overview, and press 3 to see the full content. Click on any branch to explore specific details. Starting a new lecture. Let's start a new lecture. Tap the plus button to open a new map, hit record and grant necessary permissions. The app begins capturing audio, transcribing, and mind mapping automatically. Editing and customization. During or after the lecture, you can easily customize your notes. Edit branch text directly, add new branches or sub-branches, attach notes or hyperlinks to any branch, rearrange branches as needed. In conclusion, ivvi brings together audio recording, transcription, and mind mapping in one seamless package. It's designed to support various learning styles, help identify and organize key information, be accessible across all your devices. With ivvi, students can focus on understanding rather than just note-taking, making it an invaluable tool for learners of all types. I hope you try it. Did that work okay? Welcome to ivvi. Oh, stop.
I think it works better for people on their computers than on their phones.
I see. Okay. So let me show you, let's go back to the screen share of, so you've got a button down here where you can just click ivvi and open it up, the app. And at the moment, it's transcribing. And what ivvi is doing is, in simple terms, ivvi is modeling to a student how to take mind mapping notes. So you've got a chunk of text here, and then it chooses what it thinks are the two key words from that chunk of text. What's it going to choose? ivvi modeling. Oh, that's pretty good. That's accurate. But let's say you don't think it's accurate. You can change it. So I said Jo. I've got here Jo, and then thumb. And that might remind me more about Jo giving me a thumbs up. So the point of ivvi is not to complete all your notes for you and do everything for you and make you passive. The point of ivvi is to help bridge that chasm between verbal written notes and visual notes so that you've kind of got all the pieces in front of you, so that you can start mind mapping and organizing things. So I can decide to, move a branch location. I can move it up to here. I could even delete a branch. I don't delete the text, but and if I move things around, it still keeps the order of the transcript here. I don't lose anything. I don't lose the audio. I don't lose the transcript, but I can start personalizing this mind map. The goal of the mind map is, let me just give a title here. How do I spell? Christmas demo. Dyslexia showing itself there. So the goal of the mind map is to help me review, okay? And in many ways, I want to quickly review. Oh, we talked interpersonal relationships. That was just chat. Okay, I might change that to intro chat. And then academic problem, time management, conscious attention, etc. I can choose the keywords that I want that help me. but basically ivvi's done the heavy lifting to get me 90% of the way there. This highlighting button is key. So there's like 3 ways to use ivvi. There's the fire and forget way, which is, look, I'm just leaving this, I'm putting it to the side, I'm just going to concentrate and listen and maybe de-stress. Then once you've got a little bit more confidence, you start saying, right, I'm going to hit the highlight button when I think Darius has said something important. And you start, gauging how many times do I want to hit the highlight button. And all you're doing is highlighting key quotes, which you can filter later on, like I've just done here. And then you get to the point where you're like, actually, I want to start actively engaging in this note-taking and adding my own ideas, like I'm visually mapping as well. I can start adding things in. So there's so much more I can tell you about ivvi, but it might be useful, to go to a Q&A just now. There's so much here. There's tons of stuff you can do inside of ivvi. You can export. Most importantly, ivvi plays nicely with other apps. We're going to have so many more export functions, like to export to Mind Manager or Yoa or Notion or Google Docs or whatever. But at the moment, you've got everything the core things that you need. You can export the transcript as well, the whole transcript. You can export the audio file, and you can also export the map itself as an image, PDF, etc. So you've got some valuable information that you can go after the lecture and use well. Over here, you've got a bunch of this is your like notepad. You've got all your maps here and you can visually identify them. So you've got your notepad. You can also, change the styles. Let's say you want a little bit of less visual stress. You can choose a tinted background. You can even go into like a dark mode. And it's interesting because it dark modes everything, not just the page. So we've got lots of different modes that's black and white mode, neon mode. So, and you can also individually choose them for different maps. So you can have different maps in different modes, like geography is always neon or whatever you want. So,
Couple of questions, Darius.
Any questions?
Well, before we go on to questions, are you set up to do a quick demo of the magic map? So taking a page of text and converting it.
Oh, yes. This is something that we've been playing around with. I think you'll like a magic map. Let me create, you can have multiple maps going at the same time. So let's create a new window here. And that's a very useful thing to know, that ivvi is not just one map at a time. So if let's say I'm on ChatGPT and I want to, this is extremely good for stopping plagiarism. Okay. So let's say I want a summary of the story of Scrooge. Okay. And I paste it in here and I hit magic map. What happens is ivvi goes away and maps out that story. I've got the introduction, I've got the ghost of Christmas, redemption, and the conclusion, and it's in a well-structured map. And not only that, we've also connected it to the original transcript. So you don't lose the context. So this is magic map. So you've basically got a classic map. Okay, so let's say I want to create, let me open up a new window. So let's say we've got classic map where I type out my own ideas and brainstorm. What ivvi does is dual codes. One of the most important thing I find with dyslexia, ADHD is working memory. Basically, ivvi is an executive function tool. And ivvi, first of all, tries to help your working memory, empty your working memory. And one of the best ways of reinforcing your working memory is to dual code. So you've got a word and a picture combined. And ivvi, and sometimes it's like, oh, I'm going to find a picture for this idea. Okay, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to my icons and I'm going to find an icon that you want. That's great. But ivvi kind of gives you a little head start even in classic mode. Wonder what it does for random words. Haven't tried that. Oh, ivvi's confused. But do you get what I mean? Sometimes ivvi creates an icon that gives you a moment where you go, oh, that's when ivvi did that funny thing with the question mark. And we're trying to create these moments so that people remember the experience of the lecture or the meeting visually. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be a dual-coded experience.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed for that. We've got a question from Jeremy in the Q&A. Can it incorporate slide images?
Can it incorporate slide images? Yes, it can. So you can attach the images from the slide to each one of the branches. You can attach PDFs, you can attach web links, you can attach all sorts of documentation to ivvi like you would a regular mind map, add images as well. In the future, we have this plan to, you know how you could see the thumbnail of the video in the bottom corner during the demo, you can switch that on and off. So if the lecturer has a slide, we're going to incorporate a snipping tool. So let's say they're concentrating on a particular part of the slide rather than the whole slide. You can snip that little bit and it'll attach that as an image to that branch. So it's directly related. That's
Awesome.
coming around about February, March.
I think there's probably a lot of ideas for your development pipeline at the moment, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I mean, one of the wonderful things that we're going to do is a clipping tool. Okay, so let's say you're in your browser and you've got some piece of text and you want to see what that looks like in Magic Map. You just clip the text, you hit ivvi little button in the top as a plugin, and it'll show you the magic map, save it there, but keep you on that website so you're not having to interrupt your inhibitory control, your focus. You know it's there, it's done, you've got that quick image and you can come back to it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. There's been a few questions around GDPR. Kind of an age-old question as well as a new one for yourselves. In terms of recording both the lecturer, the teacher, and your fellow sort of students. Current sort of position around that?
Yeah, the terms and conditions that students are going to agree to when they log in to ivvi, and we're going to make this quite bold. It's in the terms and conditions, but we're going to make it quite bold at the beginning that when you record on ivvi, it's for your own personal private use, and you will not be publishing or sharing any part of it without the express permission of everyone involved. That's the law of the land. So law of the land is of the UK is you are allowed to record any meeting you like without anyone's permission. You're allowed to record it. That's the law. But it's got to be for your own private use. You're not allowed to show it to someone else without their permission. So it's for your private use. So you're allowed to take notes in meetings, you're allowed to take recordings in meetings, you're allowed to do all of that as long as for your own private study and use. You're not sharing with other people.
Awesome.
And ivvi's encrypted end to end, so we can't access anything either. Ironically, we can't see any of the maps that are created within ivvi, and we use a UK-based server just for added security as well.
Yeah. I think there's been a couple of questions about sort of use of ivvi overseas, and I presume, I mean, a lot of that will fall into the regulations of each country, sort of, and where their sort of server requirements, co-hosting of data, all those sort of questions will come in. So we probably need to answer those on a country by country basis.
Well, the answer to that is ivvi is. available all around the world, and there are people using it in America, Australia right now. You know, you can go to ivvi.app, ivvi.app, click on Open Ivvi, and you'll get a 30-day full usage subscription. And at the end of that, you can decide whether you go onto our free basic plan or a paid plan, or to get the super duper, you know, the DSA license, etc. When it comes to legalities for organizations, we have the ability to spin up servers in any country in the world. And we have the ability within ivvi to know where you are. You tell us where you are, and we'll put you in a server in your country that meets your country's requirements.
Awesome.
We will have that facility. We have that capability, but when a country comes to us or a company comes to us and says, we really need this in the US, we can do that in about 3 days.
Perfect. Much appreciated. I'm just scrolling back through. From Gizzy, can you export transcript with captions timestamped? Does it timestamp?
Okay, so yeah, I think it's really important to understand with ivvi that it's tempting to think of ivvi as a transcription app. ivvi is not a transcription app. Transcription is just one step of the journey to help that person go from the words they're hearing to a visual mind map. Okay, we want that student to get away from that transcription as quick as possible. It's like step away from the words, step away from the transcript. Don't drown in that. Okay, don't start thinking, oh, I'm going to copy this into ChatGPT and do a full summary and so on. It's like, no, get into the map, do it for yourself, think it through, and have that joy of discovering what the patterns are in the organization. So actually, the transcript, you'll notice when ivvi is doing a transcript, is not some perfect transcript. You'll actually see some errors as you go along. And we're good with that, actually, because we're not here to be a transcription service. We're here to get you out of the transcript and over that valley into the visual notes where you've got keywords, branches, and images. And obviously, you've got the transcript if you need to get a little quote, or the recording to hear it perfectly accurately and type that in. So you've got the detail if you really need it. But in terms of captioning and transcription and so on, that's not ivvi's function.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Just to track back slightly to the GDPR and policy question. I mean, one of the big things around that is, where does GDPR trump reasonable adjustment and vice versa? And a lot of organizations in our experience have very conflicting policies, can often be a bit of a battle to get that done. But as Darius has explained, the situation is ours. But I know that Stephen's been in the chat and mentioned that the policy of their university is that you just can't record seminars. And yet I'd be willing to bet that there's a lot of that going on.
Well, I think I'm a law student. I have a deep respect for the law, and I love the law. The law of the land is, as you can record audio as long as it's for your own personal private use, and you don't, breach anyone's privacy or confidentiality or their copyright or anything like that. Just don't give it to anyone else. Just use it for yourself. So I think, a university's policy can't trump the law. That's the bottom line. No one's above the law. I think fundamentally, as long as you do it responsibly and you just do it for yourself, you're fine. I'm not telling you to start breaking other people's policies, but the reality is it's better to follow the law than to get too confused by, oh, am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? The law is the final arbiter on these matters.
Of course. Yep, couldn't agree more. There's a whole bunch of questions about trials and demo licenses that we'll go back through the chat and get back to all of you regarding sort of all of those questions, and very much appreciated. And of course, we'll give you an email address to contact us all on, should you wish to sort of request further one-to-one demos or further information.